No be them. Like the usual thing. So, yeah, that's why I'm asking you to tell me. I want to know how you react when you receive bad news. There's a lot of bad news. So it could be a personal thing. It could be also the ones we have in the media. But does the bad news in the media make you afraid? Or does it make you angry? Or does it make you to become a little bit more careful? Let's talk. The numbers to call are 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. You can also head on to Facebook. Let's hear from you there. On Facebook, we are Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. And then you can tweet at Nigeria Info PH. Then for your WhatsApp messages, all right, you can as well send them to 0809 030 6416. 0809 030 6416. How does it make you feel when you hear the bad news we have in our country? You know, somehow I even get to kind of like ask myself, should the media maybe just consciously go out there and source for good news? Maybe that's what we should do. You know, leave out the evil that's happening in our society so that we can help people who are feeling agitated, who are feeling fearful as a result of the bad news we report. But we can't help it, right? If it's happening, we have to tell you that it's happening. If it has happened, we also need to tell you that it has happened. But crazy enough, you don't even get to hear everything. But the much you hear is enough to actually get your heart racing, to get your body to start reacting in a negative way. So there are some people like that, you know, they consciously try to not be the ones who also share bad news. Yeah, it's something that they try as much as possible. It's part of the things I also try to do on my WhatsApp status, on social media. I don't like to be the one who also brings to your notice that something bad has happened, because I know that all over the media, it's there. Broadcast media, print media, social media, everybody is reporting bad news. So how does it make you feel? Angry? Oh, the security agencies are not doing anything. They're not doing enough. They don't even exist. Oh, these people that are going about thinking they can kidnap people or kill people or do that, God will punish them. How does it make you feel? Angry? Or does it make you feel afraid or watchful? Let's talk. We have a winner from Port Harcourt. Hi, winner.
Hello, Megan.
Hi, winner. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Job. Okay, what I have to say is that sad news is very shock, like in times of when someone called you that the job you're looking for or what both of you are going after will not work out. And you believe that, when this thing got better, being as in a good someone or whatever, the life is very good for you. Along the line, everything is good. You feel very bad. Then the area of what is that in terms of that job has in the area, and most people that will be very sad. Okay, it's just them. No. What about that intention that you have someone that is very close to you and God that is visiting that was shot? How will you feel? You feel very bad. If like a person like me, I just called my younger sister that stay close to my tree, close to Duke there. My younger one, please, because it's the only one I have. Please, be careful with everything you're doing. Just don't close it and don't go to that side. And she was very happy because if I lose her, I'll feel very bad. So every human being that is just being serious or let them be doing what they're doing. After all, it's just it's then now. Because it's not gotten to them. So that's at least to me it's very painful. It's very just like heartbreak. If you have a heartbreak, madam, to me, I cry all the whole day because I've been in such kind of condition. So that's what I have to say.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Congratulations on the movement.
Thank you very much. I don't know the congratulations part, but I receive it. Thank you. Yeah, I have I know someone who usually would greet me with congratulations. Yeah. So he says bad news, especially when it has to do with someone you love, right? Like what has happened in Maiwan, or what is happening over there. So he calls his sister to find out how she's doing, and then caution. So he hears bad news from that place because he has someone who lives around, not even in the same area where this thing is happening, but someone who lives kind of like close to the place. So he's thinking, I need to reach out to her, warn her to be careful, watch your movements, you know. So what happens to you when you hear bad news? It could be road crashes. Yes, it could be that. You know, sometimes it's as if it's as if like a wind blows and a particular thing just begins to happen. I remember when in Lagos, it's just in March, right? Or beginning of this month, March, yeah. If one trailer did not lose brake, the container the trailer is carrying will fall. It just kept happening over and over and over. At some point, it became houses collapsing, and then I started again. So how do you feel when you hear bad news? Hello, Okafo.
Yes, good afternoon, my sister Constance.
Good afternoon. Welcome, please.
Thank you very much. Bad news comes with shock and then caution. How do I mean? There are certain news you hear, and you tune your radio or you open your television, you see the news flash. This person is dead. Or there is a bad thing, demonstration or whatever form is going on at a particular area. One, you begin to think, who knows, should any of my family person around that area? And then those who must have one thing or one business or the other to do within that, you begin to think on how to reach them. The ones you can call. I hope you are at home. I hope you have nothing doing going towards this area, because I've just got information that a particular evil is happening around there. There are lots of bad news. That if you can, there's anything to test the temperature of our Nigeria today, you see that on a daily basis, our heart is being broken as a result of one bad news or the other. You wake up in the morning, you hear somebody you know, somebody who has just left his home, just mandate to go and hustle and bring food for his family. The next thing here, he has been shot. Even if he has no reason in any way related to you, seeing that alone and hearing it brings a lot of heartache in the minds of people, especially me. I wept almost on a daily basis. Each time I listen or I hear of any particular one, you see me weeping. I may not know the person, but I just consider, look at who knows how the family they are feeling now. Who knows the people he has left behind? He has told them, goodbye, I will come back and see you people in the evening. And look at how he has ended up. That's how the things always come to my mind. And most times I start reflecting in my own life too, supposing I am the one, is it how I would have ended up? So most of the bad news we hear today brings a lot of shock in our hearts. And again, for people who are growing, you also give us room to educate our young ones wherever they are, that please, you must not go this area. This is what I've just had. That is my contribution this afternoon. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. Well, of course, even the experts themselves, you know, those of them who have taken out time to study the human brain, talking about psychologists, that's what they're called, right? So they say that every person responds to tension, to trauma differently. So there are people who, and it's also something I think has become, it's more like, it's become a culture. You know that thing where people, once it's a particular time of the night, people are thinking of being in their homes. So the other day I was in a taxi and some young men were discussing about some areas in Port Harcourt, yeah, really young boys, and two of them. And so one of them goes, oh, he was at, was it Oil Mill he mentioned, and around 10 p.m. And so he says he received a call, and once he was done, about to put the phone back into his pocket, he noticed another young man trying to walk towards him. So he had to run. And so they started talking about some areas in Port Harcourt that, if they are there at night, They can't bring out their phones and all that. And then one of them goes, oh, if your heart is not strong, if you're in this place, that place, and the other place, it might not go well with you or something, right? So there are some people that it's become a culture. Once it is 8 p.m., wherever they are, they're thinking, I shouldn't be here by this time. Why? Why do you want to go home that early? Why do you want to be in your house by 8? No, it's not because you love your bed so much. It's the bad news in the media. You've heard stories. If it's not a kidnap attempt or kidnap, actually, it's someone who's been shot or anything. We have Mr. Zion on the phone. Hi, Mr. Zion.
Good afternoon, Constance.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome.
I will consider it in two aspects.
All right.
Is it the bad news directly affecting me? Or is just the news that affected someone else? But in all and totality, anticipated in such kind of news. And the first thing that comes into my mind, I'll plead that kind. I picture myself in that situation. If I was the one, how would my family feel? Bad news is not a good news.
Definitely.
And in most cases, I know many people want to hear bad news. I don't think how many news we've heard of the people who just graduated to become doctors or back that doctorate degree. How many of them have been congratulated or celebrated for the past 7 days? None, I guess so. That is why I put my family in this mentality. If you are going out, don't say goodbye or bye-bye. Don't do that.
Oh, wow.
Rather use the word, see you later. I think that is the best practice I'm giving my family now.
Wow.
Because I don't want to get to that state. Bye-bye. Bye-bye is bye-bye. Don't try that. See you later, Mr. Zion.
All right. Thank you very much for calling, Mr. Zion. That's an interesting one as well, right? All right. Good afternoon, Constance. I'm never a fan of bad news, and I do receive it with shock, but there are some situations that I look forward for it to calculate my steps and movements. Your name is Evergreen. That is interesting. So you're looking forward to bad news, or is it that you're looking forward to news? You want to know what's happening in an area, or you want to know how bad a particular bad area has become. Like there are people who, ordinarily know that certain areas are known for crime and criminality. So they kind of like avoid those places, or they are, they take caution when they are in that area. But by the time they now hear that there is a fresh level to the criminality that has already been known in that place, they just avoid the place totally. So let's say there's a disease outbreak and you hear that people are dying. I remember when it was COVID-19, right? People all of a sudden, the same people that would not mind if someone did hurt you. Yeah, sneezing. Everybody started minding. There was this thing. People became very cautious. They're like, if you sneeze, there's a way people would look at you. You don't want to sneeze in public. Right? Because of bad news. So the news was not necessarily that there's a disease outbreak. No, that was not just the problem. It was the fact that people had died. There had been records of death. If you hear, who bothers about malaria? But malaria kills a lot of people. It's Malaria Day, right? It kills a lot of people. But that someone has malaria doesn't necessarily... You don't hear that someone has malaria and you're afraid for the person. Or you become afraid, hey, I might get malaria if I go to visit this person. No, because we don't have such bad news associated with malaria anymore. We don't, even if people are dying, we don't have such reports in the news. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So malaria could be killing a lot of people, but the fact that we're not reporting it, you're not afraid. Even exercise caution. So with all these stories about malaria and how much people have to spend to treat malaria, how much businesses lose because someone is away from work because they are treating malaria, people still live in surroundings where they consciously decide not to clean their gutters. Yeah, they leave the environment dirty and they are breeding mosquitoes and they're not running a lab or a research center. And so, yeah, they get bitten by mosquitoes, they treat the malaria, and life goes on. But when it was COVID, and there were stories of people dying in their numbers, ooh, something bad. And then when you start hearing of accidents on a particular road, you now start dreading taking that route. Because that road, people are always dying on that road. There have been accidents, reported accidents on that road. Bad news. So what happens to your mind when you hear of bad news? Oh, so I'm just seeing this on the TV now, The Guardian. Nigerians spend 2.4 trillion naira yearly on malaria treatment. Malaria prevention, rather. Interesting stuff. That's just to let you know, though. So, yeah. People respond differently to bad news. When it's coming from the media and when it's directed at them. If it's someone close to you who was involved in something bad, who was affected in a bad way, there's a way you respond to it. But when you hear bad news, as much as you hear them in the media, has it become a normal thing to you that you're no longer bothered? Oh, 5 people killed wherever, 10 people killed, unknown gunmen, militiamen, whatever they are called, terrorists and all that, attack a particular village, ransack a village and kill people, burn houses. Have you come to that level where you are no longer moved by the bad news? Well, maybe because it doesn't directly affect you. So I remember someone was talking about getting a job in Imo State, Owerri, actually. So I was with a couple of persons and the very first thing, that's the thing that I also thought the same thing as well, that came to mind was insecurity. And we were just thinking, okay, so this job, must you go? Can't you stick around here and, and be sure? Because we're hearing stories from that part of the country and it's not good. So the same thing that should have brought some kind of joy and happiness. The story of, I'm getting an offer for a job elsewhere. For someone that's not really been doing something, very strong, to put it that way. But we're thinking, but the level of bad news coming from that place, are you sure it's safe to go? But there are people living there. We didn't even really consider that there are people living there. The first thing that came to mind is the bad news we've heard from that place. Caution set in. We became advisors, even when nobody was seeking advice. So how do you react to bad news? All right, Great Erudite on Facebook says, good afternoon, Constance. I feel so worried whenever I hear bad news, irrespective of where the person comes from, because I don't know I don't know what could be the outcome, positively or negatively. Thanks. I don't understand that part, but anyway. Fiberesima Jephthah Charles says, it makes me feel crazy. Oh, wow. So the other day I was talking about the fact that there are so many people who are angry in this country today. And it's as a result of bad news. Yeah. So we bring you reports that during an election, people carted away with the ballot boxes. People were beaten up. And all of that kind of stories. Bad news, really, because you were not expecting that, there should be, that such kind of things should happen during an election. People are angry. Like, why can't people just go out there and vote? It is counted. Everybody goes home. No harassment. Nothing, no irregularity. Nobody's trying to rig or anything. Bad news. So you hear that your country is so rich in natural resources. You hear about the oil, you hear about the gold, and some other resources that we have up north and in some parts of the country. But then you hear about also how monies have been earmarked for this and that, and then bad news comes. Someone has embezzled billions. Another person has siphoned hundreds of millions. So other people are suffering and dying. And some other persons are busy enriching themselves. So you get angry. What does bad news make you feel like? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
Good afternoon, ma.
What's
Hello,
your
can
name?
you hear me?
What is your name?
Yes, it's Richard, calling from D-Line.
All right, Richard, go on.
I think most of the bad news in Nigeria, they no longer move me anymore because I see it as a scam. And when we are hearing about this, killing here, and there's nothing has been done to it. I'm taking your mind back to 2016 or is it 2015? The Chibok.
Ouch, that happened. If you can, please do to call back. So I'm looking at this one. Olivia from Port Harcourt is screaming, Constance, so what is bad news? When dog bites man, it's no news. And when man bites dog, it is news. 90% of news on radio is bad. So many are now used to it. Now, I feel bad about that. Really. And I really do hope we don't get used to... I mean, people are already getting used to bad news, right? But it would be nice if people do not get used to bad news. If people do not become... it actually breeds insensitivity. That's one of the things that happens. People become insensitive. And that's part of the things we are beginning to experience in our society today. So someone is bleeding by the roadside. Someone slumps by the roadside. And people are not thinking, help. Help. People are not thinking, a life is about to be lost. Something that precious. Help. People are thinking, news. I mean, bad news makes news. Some people want to stand there, do the video until this person breathes his last or her last. So people becoming sensitive. So you now hear that what's it called now? So yes, someone is in need of help. You cannot help anymore because you've heard a lot of stories, especially from social media, of how someone helped somebody and at the end of the day they pay them back in a bad way, or someone you're trying to help decides to take your picture to one juju priest or stuff like that. So yeah, people become insensitive to even genuine needs. Bad news. Over 20 people are feared dead after terrorists ransacked a village in a local government area anywhere. Could be in the north. And you're like, that's all now. I know someone might even ask, okay, so what are we supposed to do? Am I supposed to go there and go and save them? Am I a soldier? Even if I'm a soldier, am I posted there? But then I think it's taking away our... it's taken from our humanity. It is actually. So empathy, people are struggling to be empathetic. Even sympathy is like, I mean, why would I be sympathetic about it? I'm not the one that killed them. I'm not the one that caused it. So Okay, fine. Hey, yeah. Are you happy now? But yeah, people are still sympathetic. But empathy, we still have a long way to go. So we have people who have become insensitive to the plight of others. Yeah, well, even for those of them at the top, those who are joyfully siphoning funds, to those who are excitedly defrauding people, yeah, you know yourselves. So you think you're smart. So you're not thinking, okay, this person I'm trying to defraud now. I mean, if you are able to really sit down and think, right? What if this was my father? What if this was my mother? What if this was my brother? And he loses this kind of money. And he's so sad, he becomes depressed. High blood pressure sets in. And the next thing, someone is dead. And then you throw an entire family into mourning. So if he was maybe the breadwinner, if he was the one who's been helping the entire family, you see what you have caused? But no, you're not thinking that. Because humanity, the normal thing now. You hear someone has been defrauded, you're like, people know they hear word self. So you want to tell them to stop getting involved in all these things. People know they hear word. You hear that maybe a young lady has been sexually abused. You're thinking, what was she wearing? Yeah. Oh, someone stole and he was lynched. Awaiting fitam. So bad news has a way of taking away from our humanity. Fine Day, our presenter. Bad news is on welcome visits, which always presents without invites. Okay. Killings, fire outbreak, and other forms of violence is always a shock. My conclusion is, all right. Thank you, David from Port Harcourt, for your message. All right, so I have to go now. We have the news, trending stories, after which I'll be back very shortly, in a jiffy. Just stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Nigeria info.